Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. So I wanted to do a video today that is kind of touching on the period of motherhood that I'm in at the moment, and yeah, it's something that I've been thinking about a lot. So if you just want to chat like mum life, then keep watching. So obviously I started my, like, I suppose my path online in a way as like a new mum. And when I was becoming a mum, I would look to other people for their experiences because the whole concept was completely foreign to me. Obviously, especially with Bill, and you know, now I'm 3 children down the line and that's a very, very different story. And I do think that when you are pregnant, you watch pregnancy updates, and obviously I did some pretty popular ones for Channel Mum, so I know that I've held the hand and kept a lot of women company over the years with those videos. I worked really hard on those, and they were so special. And I even remember watching them when I was pregnant, like the year after with Stanley. And there's so much like content, and there's a lot of voices in that early stage. And I think that a lot of that, at least from my experience, and obviously I can't speak for everybody, but when you are a mum to a newborn or a young baby or even a toddler, it can begin as quite a sort of isolating time, not necessarily always so lonely and alone and you know, just you and the baby, but you do spend a lot of time just with your baby, and you'll go to baby groups and you'll meet and make the occasional friend, but a lot of it is very insular and it's like done at home, especially in those early days because you got to get back for naps and this, that and the other, and all of that. And so I think back then it was quite nice to shout out and go, is anybody out there? And you'd find voices shouting back. But obviously, as you get further on in motherhood, that bubble of protection that you're in initially with a new baby, you know, where like people say sleep when baby sleeps, which like, oh my god, you should definitely be doing if you can. And you know, that understanding that I remember doing the school run, and sometimes we would just do the school run and like I'd have thrown my hair up in a messy bun and I'd have just stuck like my babies in the buggy, and I'd be like getting Bill to school, this, that and the other. And it didn't really matter how I looked or how I turned up to school, because like people would look at you and go, oh, she's got like a baby. And like it's like common knowledge that if a woman is sat there and she is exhausted and you look down and there's little children down there, then you all think, oh yeah, no, definitely, that makes a lot of sense. But I feel like as your kids get older, you can be just as tired sometimes, but you're not, you know, that kind of fades away, like as the baby grows, you know what I mean? Like there are less people that will pop round and visit, or bring you a home cooked meal, or like things like that. And it just very slowly but surely becomes, you know, just like real life, and your kids get bigger. And I don't want to make this video for anyone that might have younger children and make it sound like really bad, like, oh, just you wait, because it's not like that at all. Because as your kids get older, you get so much more, I don't know if freedom is a difficult word to use, but almost physical freedom. Like they're not hanging off me all the time. They don't need me in the same way that my children, when they were babies and toddlers, needed me. Don't get me wrong, I am still very much stalked in my house. They are always coming to get me and like sit with me, follow me into the toilet, follow me into the bath or anything. Like they would just like follow me around the house. And like in one respect, it is such a blessing, because that is so lovely. It's so lovely to be loved by them in that way. But equally, it's hard, isn't it? But you do get to a point where all of a sudden it kind of just hits you and you're like, oh, there's less toys now. And they don't, where are they? Have they gone, are they in their room? Oh, they're in their rooms and nobody needs me right this second. And you like tentatively make a coffee and you sit down and you like wait for someone to come and jump on you. And it doesn't always happen anymore. Not always, like, but you know, you get the occasional moment now where you can sit down and relax. But then on the flip side of that, I feel like I've never been so busy in my life. And it's not the draining physical tiredness where I'm, you know, exhausted from being up at night with a baby. It's that mental load that we all feel and we all talk about, especially as mothers, where I physically cannot keep up sometimes. Because this week alone, my children have gone back to school. I had already prepared for all the clubs that they've got and got those like uniforms and the gear ready for that. And then I know that there's World Book Day coming up, and you know, we've just had a birthday party, but I know there's another birthday party on the horizon that Stan will be going to, and I know that Stan's birthday's coming up, so we need to get the presents for that. And then I know that Daisy's birthday will be coming up, and there's other birthday parties that are going to be happening. And then, you know, the cricket season will start again, so we'll be doing that again on a Friday, and then this, that and the other, and there's all this stuff. And like, we've run out of butter, we've run out of bread. Do I make a loaf in my bread maker, or do I go and buy one because it's quicker? I don't know. I feel like I should use the bread maker, but I'm not perfect. And oh, was that the washing machine? Oh, I best go and put it in the dryer. And then when I'm in there, I realise the dryer's full of dry clothes that I need to fold, so I fold those, and then I put the washing in the dryer. And then I notice that the dog's bowl is empty, so I fill up the dog's bowl, but then I realise that the container that I keep the dog food in is empty, so I need to restock the container, and the cat food one is empty too. And then you just walk around the house and these jobs are constantly needing to be done. My phone pings, I've got a comment that I need to reply to. My phone pings, I've got an email that I need to reply to. My phone rings, it's the school, and like, don't worry, it's not an emergency, but just wanted to let you know that such a body had a fall today and we've applied an ice pack, but they're fine, but we just wanted to let you know. And then you're like, oh phew, at least I don't need to go and pick up a child, because then I won't be able to work. And then it's like evening, and like, can I sit down tonight? Oh no, because there's like going to be a Cubs run, and we don't get home then until nearly 9 o'clock. And then by the time I'm home, I shower and put my pyjamas on, and then basically at that point just want to go to bed. And it's just that all these things that go round all the time, and it is so full on. And it's just just a completely different world. And you go from being this, you know, mum who, I was walking the dog the other day, and I was with Bill, and the little two were at football, and we walked past the park, and there was like a young mum in there with like young children, like pushing, you know, the babies on those swings with the barriers around it, and like pushing a baby. And that's the same park that I push my babies in. In fact, that's the same park that I used to go to when I was little. And I realise now that we don't do that as much anymore. I mean, we did go to the park the other day, but they're climbing on things and they're playing with each other, and they don't need you for help, and you don't do it in the middle of the day like you used to find something nice to do with your baby or your child. Like, they're at school. And sometimes I'll walk the dog on my lunch break, and I'll walk past that same park, and there are so many mums there, but I'm not welcome there anymore because I've got a dog, I've not got children, because they're at school. And it's just a lunch break, and I'd just be eating food anyway, or getting some exercise like I was at the time anyway. But it just hurts because that used to be me, and now it's not. And it really hit me when my youngest, Stan, started reception in September, because it just went so quickly. And I really enjoyed that time with my kids. I felt like I was very happy doing that. I really wanted to do that. I felt lucky that I had that time with them. I didn't have that with my eldest because of financial, you know, I had to work the way that I did back then, and you know, and that is, life is what you make of it, isn't it? But it's just such a strange position to be in now, because in some respects, now they're all at school, it's easier to get my job done. I'm not always doing it around children, which I used to find so hard because I never felt like I was good enough at anything. But at the same time, it can be quite isolating. And I'm not, you know, I like to stay busy, and I like to get my work done and do things for my family. And like, sometimes I feel like you know, it's kind of like I'm just existing again, and I've kind of lost a bit of my identity, because it was a bit like before lockdown. I used to have a double buggy. I had the upper baby Vista, and it was a like chambray kind of blue vibe one. It was beautiful, and we got it when I was pregnant with Stanley, because I wanted a double buggy, but I didn't want a side by side, because just from experience living where I lived, I felt like it would be quite difficult to maneuver through like school gates or shop doors and that kind of thing. And I thought I would get one of those, you know, like on top of each other type ones. So we got it, and I used it initially with Daisy while she was still a toddler, because she wasn't even 2 when Stanley was born. And then obviously we converted it into a double, and I'd had this for so long, and I felt like people could see me coming a mile off, but I was always like Bill, Daisy and Stanley's mum, and I always had this big buggy, and they'd be rammed full underneath of like school bags and book bags and PE kits and like changing bags, and that was always like, it just felt very much like wherever I went, that came with me. And these 2 little children. Then obviously lockdown started, and Daisy was going to be moving into reception that September after the March that began, and by the time she actually did start school, and it wasn't even in the capacity that we expected it to. Obviously she wasn't in the buggy by that stage anymore, but I had this single, converted it back to a single, and all of a sudden over lockdown, Stan stopped using the buggy, and we made the decision that if we could only go for our 1 walk a day, we were going to encourage him to walk too, because it'd be the only kind of exercise that he got as like a, you know, a little toddler. And we wanted to encourage that, and, you know, give him that opportunity to run around and move his body. And half the time one of us would end up giving him a piggyback or putting him on our shoulders, but he then just started to refuse to go in it, and he was only 2, just turned 2, and then so I never used that buggy again. And then Daisy was at school, and she started, and then she was home again, and I was homeschooling, and then all of a sudden it finally got into the swing of things, and I just feel like I could barely keep up. And then now Stan's in school, and touch wood, I won't have to do that form of homeschooling ever again. I don't think I'd be very good at it, to do it in its more well-known form anyway, but that version of it especially was just, oh God, it was painful, wasn't it? But I just feel like I'm sat here now, and I feel like I'm trying to find out who I am again. Like, it's quite obvious that I'm a mother, and as a title I've got immense pride for, but it's just so weird, this bit. I feel like nobody talks about it, because you're literally watching your children slip through your fingers, like that song goes. It's almost like they're these beautiful balloons, and you've been holding on tight, really, really tight for years, and you've always had these balloons where you can see them, but as they grew, they got stronger, and the strings would unravel a little bit from your grasp, and you'd be like, oh, it's all right, I've still got them. They're going quite high up though, and then all of a sudden I feel like I'm just trying to clamber onto these strings and hold on. And at the same time, it's so weird. It feels like a really selfish point of view to have, because deep down, obviously, I want them to grow and thrive, and I want them to go off on their own adventures. And I know that they'll always come back, and I'll always be their mum and this, that and the other, but it's just such a really strange period to be in. And I think some of that as well is because of the ages that I've got, because I've got Bill, who is completing year 6, so it's nearly March, and he's going to be finished with primary school in a few months. Like, I remember his first day. What happened? Where did it go? What happened? Do you know what I mean? Like, how did you grow? Like, what? And I don't feel any older at all. And obviously I've grown and changed as a person, and I think sometimes when I sit with myself and I reflect on that, I love the way I've grown, and I've gotten stronger and wiser, and a lot more reflective on things, and been through a lot really in the past few years when I really truly sit and think about it, as I imagine everybody has, because that's life and that's growth and that's change. But it's just crazy to me because I still feel like the 24-year-old that has just had a baby and is still working out what the shit I'm supposed to do with it. Because even now I'm still a new mum, especially when it comes to him, because there are still hurdles I have not faced yet. And there's no grace for us anymore once we get past those baby stages. We're just, you know, we just get on with it, don't we? And like, rightly so, it's life and it's a choice that we entered into, but also at the same time, it's really, really, really strange to be here and now and be like, what am I? Who am I? What do I enjoy? Because so much of what I have done over the last few years has been very, very focused on what my children enjoy. And it's so nice to be able to have more time together, and it's so nice to not be worried about, you know, like pumping milk and expressing or tube feeding, or like, have I got enough nappies in my changing bag and this, that and the other. But it's also just really strange at the same time because Bill's at the end of his primary school journey and Stanley's just started it. And if I reflect on, you know how people say the days are long but the years are short, sometimes it feels like a very long time ago when Bill was that small, but equally at the same time I can blink and I'm right back there. And so my head is all over the place because soon he's going to be going to high school, and soon I'm going to have new teachers' names to remember, and I'm going to have to be checking on like daily homework, and it's going to be completely different. And I have to hope that like he enjoys it and that like he makes loads of new mates alongside the ones he's already got, and you know that he's going to be happy. And then also I've got like Stan's still just starting all over again, and then Daisy's in the middle and she's at that age as well. I know you'll understand what I mean if you've got children that are getting older now, but like when they hit 7 or 8, it's a real shift of boundaries, I think, and also their interests change so quickly. And you know, she's already got like this dressing table / desk in her room now, and like she's got put all the makeup in it and her hair stuff. And last night I went upstairs and I went to go and see what she was up to because she was in a room, which is fine. Like that's why I made their rooms nice for them, so they'd have somewhere really happy and comfortable to be. But I went up, and as you walk up the stairs you can see into Daisy's room, and she was on the chair at a dressing table and she was like plaiting her hair like this and like brushing it, and I just stopped and looked at her and I was like, oh wow. Because there used to be a time where I'd like walk upstairs and try and find her, and she'd be like swirling around in an Elsa dress and playing with her babas, and or maybe I wouldn't need to look and find her at all because she'd be right there with me like my little shadow. And it's just such a strange concept, and don't get me wrong, I love it. I'm so in love with them all. I think they're so wonderful. And I think this is why people always go on about like, oh, you know, mummy's baby, the last baby is always the one that like, it's not that they're like your favourite or they get away with murder. I think it just hits you at that point that you will never, ever, ever get to experience that again. And do I want more children? No. Do I think that I'd be able to manage with more children? I mean, like I probably would, but do I want to change our family dynamic and grow it again? No. No, I don't. And am I done? Do I feel done sometimes? Also, like, no, but not in a sense of like I'm yearning for more babies, but I'm broody for the times that I've already lived, if that makes sense. I don't want more children. I just want to go back and spend just a day with the ones that I had. Not because today isn't good enough where we are now, but just to go back and savour it, because I know that they're growing up. And so now I'm trying to savour today too and just remember these emotions. But then there are some days like last week where Stan was really sick. It was like a 12-hour sickness bug, but it was the most sick I've ever seen in my life. It was really bad. And I remember just being so overwhelmed and so tired, and I was constantly cleaning up sick. I was trying to look after him. I was trying to entertain Bill and Daisy, who were rightfully bored, but we couldn't go anywhere. And like, I was trying to catch up on work and do emails and do all of these things, and I just couldn't. I didn't feel like I could do it. I felt like I was feeling like I wasn't good enough. And I remember just feeling so like panicked. And then when it was all over and like, you know, the clouds had cleared, so to speak, I had a really like frustrated mum cry in my bedroom on Friday night because I was just so overwhelmed and knackered and exhausted. And in that moment, I hated it. I hated that my son was poorly and I couldn't do anything to fix it. I hated like how I could smell sick wherever I went. I felt like it was ingrained in the back of my nostrils. I hated that I hadn't done enough with my kids over those 2 days because we were surviving, not thriving. And like some days I really do. I say to Mark, oh, I can't do this. And obviously I can, but it is so hard. But then I'm also scrabbling to try and like soak it up like a sponge at the same time so I don't have regrets. I don't want to regret not taking in the way that they mispronounce words still a little bit, the little two, or like not taking in Bill's chats about things that he's interested in enough, or like the curve of their faces when they're younger, and you know, like the way Bill still runs like he's a kid when he's having fun, like on a dog walk or something, and like I don't know, you get glimpses of the them that you loved before because they're constantly growing and changing, and you kind of feel like you're grieving a little version of them that you'll never get to see again. And with adults or older friendships, you don't notice those changes so much. Like suddenly you do realise that suddenly like your grandparents are older or your parents are older, but it's not so like painful as it is with children, because I feel like I've already been in love with like 10, 11 versions of Bill, and you know, they change so fast and it's just crazy. And now I'm here and like I really am ready for some time for me, because I found out I was pregnant when I was 23 and now I'm 35 and I've only just got my final child into school. And so in some ways balance has been restored, at least during the working week. Evenings and weekends are another story entirely, because I'm basically a chauffeur / receptionist. But it's just, it was such a big chunk of my life, and I don't really do the 20s and that freedom and stuff, so I'm kind of thinking, oh, maybe my late 30s, 40s will be a bit of time for me. But then it's like, actually, what the hell do I do with that time? Like, what do I do? It's so weird. And I don't know if this even makes any sense, but just wanted to talk about it and like kind of put it out there. Does anyone know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? I'm finding myself again. Like I want to like, you know, I feel like I've done it a little bit recently, like just, especially after with like my struggles with my mental health and taking my antidepressants and stuff, I do feel like I've got to a point where I'm looking after myself again. Like I feel like I'm looking better and healthier and happier, and there's a glow about me again that I can definitely say in the last few years, especially looking back on some of the videos, I can see the pain that I was in and how I wasn't quite myself. And already I feel like I'm getting past that, and it's so good to feel that way. But I suppose I am mourning the part of my life that is over now, because it isn't the same when they're at school. I'm still a mum and I'm still here, and I'm still really grateful that I get to be a mum at all to these 3 fantastic kids, but it's just not the same. And I don't know what's around the corner either. I don't know how to do this next step, and I suppose I'm quite daunted by it. But yeah, if you've got kids a bit older than mine, like what's it like? And like, do you feel more like normal after a while? Like it's more normal, and this is a new normal. I feel like that phrase is just forever ingrained in our heads now. But I don't know, will I adjust? Because I still feel like I'm in that adjusting phase. And I do miss it, but it's just a weird one. So yeah, I just thought I would do this, put it out there, see what comes back. Obviously I appreciate if you have differing opinions to mine, like that is so cool because we're different people and we've got different lives and stuff. But I just wondered if anyone could relate. And if you like videos like this, then let me know and I will try and do little updates. Maybe I'll do a Finding Charlotte series. Just like reclaim a bit of time and a bit of something for me now, work out who I am. Because it goes so fast, doesn't it? But anyway, I'm going to go and get some editing done now and crack on before I've got to do the school run. It goes so quickly, doesn't it? So quickly. But yeah, you have a lovely rest of your day, and if you are having a rubbish one, just, you know, I was there last week and it's much better now. So hold on, give your little squishy babas and your toddlers a cuddle if you've got them. But equally, if you're having a shit day with them, that's absolutely okay too, because it's hard. And yeah, I will hopefully see you all very, very soon.